and welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/Cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat where you see those sirens in your feed. You know exactly what that means. A big thank you to Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen for following on our late Saturday night request. We knew he was a listener. We just didn't know if he was going to have enough time to listen. We just asked him to delay it till after church, and he did. So thanks, John. I appreciate that.
I'm still in church, Chip.
Yeah, there we go. The Church of Kids. That's right. Auburn has fired Hugh Freeze. According to our friends, Matt Zenitz, Brandon Marcello, Richard Johnson, the rest of the team of the insiders, no negotiated buyout number. That means $15.4 million plus the remaining salary. We are expecting DJ Durkin, right? To be our interim coach?
The interim coach, yes.
Yeah, DJ Durkin takes over as the interim coach. And now Auburn joins.
Stay hydrated, kids.
Now Auburn joins the list of high-profile jobs that will be open here in this 25-26 coaching cycle. Now, step one, when you have these kinds of conversations, often is, are you surprised? And Tom, since we did 9 minutes about how we weren't going to be surprised about doing an instant reaction emergency pod here today, the answer is very clearly no.
I'm shocked.
The question that has lingered in my mind as the most interesting part of this conversation is, why did it go so wrong for Hugh Freeze at Auburn? Where does the fault lie? And what does it mean for both Auburn and Hugh Freeze moving forward?
It went wrong because Hugh Freeze thought he could turn any old quarterback into something that was useful, and he couldn't. Like, he swung and he missed on both quarterbacks. Peyton Thorne, Jackson Arnold, neither one was able to play at the level required in the SEC for them to win games. I mean, you look at it, Hugh Freeze, his history going back to Ole Miss, like, it was an offensive coach. He was a guy who put a lot of points on the board. His team scored a ton. They scored a ton at Liberty. They come to Auburn, and their defense is great. Their offense can't score. Like, how many points did they allow to Kentucky yesterday? 10?
10. It was a 10-3 loss, yeah.
And they had no prayer of winning. Like, so I think that is the ultimate problem for Hugh Freeze. Now, if you want to go back further, you could maybe argue hiring Hugh Freeze in the first place was the mistake, because as far as I could tell, the most attractive thing about Hugh Freeze at the time was, hey, he beat Alabama when he was at Ole Miss. And if you're Auburn, maybe you shouldn't be conducting coaching hires just based on coaches who have beaten Alabama before. So, yeah, it'll be I don't think a whole lot went right with this one. Like, I think that Auburn has made a lot of mistakes since getting rid of Gus Malzahn, and it's just been one mistake after another that has led them to this place where, hey, guess what, Chip? It's been a couple years since we had an Auburn coaching search. Time to do it again. Spin the wheel one more time.
I think Hugh Freeze might have not. I think Hugh Freeze is still a pretty good football coach, and especially in the old world of recruiting and roster building, Hugh Freeze is somebody who brings a lot of plus value. But man, you've got to be, I think, a little bit more able to organize a big time program. And I just wonder if that was the failure here. For example, I'm starting to have a hunch, if Hugh Freeze were to go, if Hugh Freeze were to go to a G6 school, I bet he could go compete for conference championships.
He did at Liberty.
Right.
Were they in the conference at the time? I don't remember, but
I'm thinking about player evaluation. I'm thinking about roster building in the modern era. I'm thinking about, offensively, you don't exactly have a schematic edge anymore. I mean, it's just not the way that the game is played. Then we had this whole thing with all the shakeups on the offensive staff and who's going to have play calling on what downs. It felt like there were some organizational failures for somebody who, I mean, going back, his origin story involves Blindside. I mean, like, this guy has been around college football for a long time. I just wonder if that Auburn job, the way that they kept pouring in resources, he stacked these good recruiting classes They kept saying 2025 was going to be the breakthrough, Tom. This was going to be the year that it all comes together, Tom. And instead it was the bottom fell out. So I think that there's something fundamentally, there were some fundamental failures in the organization and the execution of the Hugh Freeze tenure at Auburn. And that's something that helps me start connecting these dots on why we got to where we are, where, I mean, the man went 6-16 against SEC opponents. Like, that gets your ass fired.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple equation on the results production side of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just didn't win enough football games. It's not like you said, this was no surprise. We've all seen this coming for weeks. Like, the question has been, when are they going to finally fire Hugh Freeze? Because we knew he wasn't going to survive the season. There was absolutely no indication from this football team that like it was going to lead to anything. And it's like every single week Hugh Freeze would say, I feel like we're close. And it's like, you have to look back. Did he mean like the football team was close to winning, or he's close to being freed from having to coach the football team?
I don't know. College football, youtube.com/cover3. I'm doing the college football meme that Tom did first. Been in these Twitter streets since 2009. I can tell you, Tom did it first. But yeah, the fact that we were monitoring tee times at the Auburn University Golf Club and whether standing 130 tee times were getting taken on or off the tee sheet is one of the highlights. Not the most amazing, but one of the highlights of this saga, certainly as it's played out.
Also, if you Google Hugh Freeze, and I tweeted the screenshot, if you Google him right now, the very first image that shows up is Hugh golfing. Which, by the way, there was the handicap scouting of Hugh in the summer when there was like the big hullabaloo about him playing golf so much in June. He has not posted a score to his handicap since then. And it is funny that like the one tweeter who was tweeting the tee times at the Auburn golf course where he was a member, like the tee time was reserved under his wife's name.
Right.
So for all we know, Hugh has been golfing every Sunday at 1:30 all season long.
Hey, listen, Matt Zenitz told us it was an off day. That's smart. Like college basketball starts tomorrow. New NC State coach Will Wade is a huge Clemson football fan. And I'm almost positive, I know Will's a big fan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll see you at elementary school pickup. I think he would not have McNeese basketball practice around Clemson football games. And Auburn was not going to have any staff meetings during a standing 1:30 p.m. tee time at the Auburn University Golf Club. So good. Do you remember, and this is kind of a slight pivot out of this, but just to keep pulling on a thread and something that you mentioned about the wheel. Do you remember the way the Auburn coaching search went before they landed on Hugh Freeze?
I mean, it was a coup. Or was it the coup that brought in Brian Harsin and then a smaller coup that brought in Hugh Freeze?
Yeah, the coup brought in Brian Harsin. That just kind of...
Because that was Kevin Steele, who there was a certain faction of Auburn boosters who wanted it to be Kevin Steele.
Kevin Steele would have replaced Gus, but Kevin Steele did not successfully pull off the coup. And Brian Harsin came in, and then Brian Harsin, neither side wanted to be there anymore.
Yeah, that was doomed from the start because there was still a very powerful faction that didn't get their way, get the guy that they wanted. And then there was another booster who decided that Hugh Freeze was the answer. And this could lead to a larger point about this job. Like the candidates that will be there to fill it. Who do you think they can go? I think the one thing that you need to consider when it comes to this gig is all the chaos that surrounds this program. Because it is a chaotic situation. It's not all that different to what we saw at Texas all those years following at the end of the Mac Brown run. I feel like you can't just be a football coach and succeed at Auburn. I feel like you have to be able to juggle a lot of cats.
Go Tigers. I'm gonna push back a little bit, but not total. I don't disagree with you. I just think that, what are you gonna say? Is LSU stable? Is Florida in a place where everything?
No.
I mean, just of these top jobs, I think that I'm still ranking them in the order that I'm ranking them and acknowledging that there's a little bit of insanity like that at all of these places that is
I
kind of driving what's going on.
I agree, but the difference is LSU has proven that it can win. Auburn won the national title with Cam Newton. And the further you get away from it, the more you look back at it was just like a lightning strike kind of situation.
I agree.
Because Cam Newton was just a level above pretty much every other player in the country that year.
Well, the
And he
season was
was
also insane. The way that those games played out were unbelievable.
and he willed that team to a national title. And what's it been since? Like Auburn has not been a huge contender in the SEC. Like their biggest moments since then have been upsetting Alabama when nobody thought they had a chance to beat Alabama in any given year.
But I think that also I would rather have the insanity and hope to wrangle the cats than be short in this era where like not having resources. Cause that's the thing. I need to do better digging on this for more perspective, but I got the sense that it wasn't like Hugh had to fight with warring factions. They had kind of gotten together to give him what he was asking for. He just didn't get results with it. You know, like, was it 2 straight top 10 recruiting classes, some pretty good portal classes? They did a good job of everybody always talked about, oh, Auburn's NIL war chest. Watch out for Auburn's NIL war chest. I mean, it's just a poor player evaluation, roster decisions. You made bad investments or it didn't work out. You couldn't coach him up. I mean, it's just, it is all the modern coaching stuff where I think none of this seemed to work out for Hugh Freeze.
It was bad choices at QB, and it was also some bad luck in that, like, and Bud had been on this the entire time. They were loading up that NIL cannon for a transfer portal run for this year.
And then the portal wasn't good.
Then the portal wasn't nearly as good anymore because teams had figured out, hey, let's use our money to keep our good players instead of going to get new ones. So like when they went there and they had all the money and they showed up at the portal, it was like a whole lot of, generic brands available. Nothing big.
Yeah. So the way that I remember it, before Hugh Freeze had emerged, Auburn's first go was at Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Kiffin, I'm going to keep it parked here at Ole Miss. He did a lot of trolley stuff throughout that time and continued to troll Hugh Freeze from the literal second that Hugh Freeze was hired. Do they go back?
They could try, but he's already told them no once, and now there are 2 better jobs available if he really wants to leave Ole Miss. Why is he going to go to Auburn?
That's a Mendoza. If you're ranking the very top jobs in this hiring cycle, has Lane Kiffin told you no yet? Is like kind of a dividing line. So,
I mean, it's pretty clear Lane does not feel like Auburn is a step up over Ole Miss. If he thought it was, he'd be there already.
Actually, let's go ahead and hit a break, and then we'll come back and we'll dig into candidates and what's next for Auburn. Any last thoughts on just sort of how about this? What's next for Hugh?
I think that if he wants a head coach, a lot of golf. It's still warm enough to play, so he's got a chance to get some more rounds in before the course is closed for the winter. But I think as far as coaching is concerned, like I don't think he's going to get a P4 gig. I don't think that's going to come. So I think if he wants to get the head coaching job, he's probably going to have to go the G5, G6 route, and maybe he has success there. It's just, you mentioned he started in Nashville in high school. Maybe Middle Tennessee comes open and he returns to Nashville. A lot of good golf there, That's what you got to do. Look at the G5 jobs that are capable of coming open and see which ones have the best golf courses around them. And you have to think Hugh is a legit candidate for that gig.
Again, 15-19, his record over about 2 3/4 season, a 6-16 record against SEC opponents, far from the standard for Auburn football. And that is why Hugh Freeze is out on the plains. Coming up on the other side, let's run through the list. We'll throw out a lot of names. And before we get out of here, Tom and I will give you our top 3 each and more next. Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. So we both agree that in the current landscape, Auburn's a top 5 job. Jobs currently open.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's closer to 6 than most people probably want to admit. But yeah, I think it's top 5 job right now. I don't know if it'll be a top 5 job by the end of the season.
Like closer to UCLA than it is to Florida?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an SEC gig. You're going to get paid a ton of money. So that makes it very attractive. I just don't think the expectations on the Plains align with the reality.
I will say closer to Florida than UCLA. And I will say, give me the chaos if they care. That if you get everything together, you at least are able to activate resources, activate passion. But yeah, these are just different ways that we rank it. What about the coaches that are going to be contacted here? Let's start with where would you, and then we can go to who we think.
I think you take a swing at the big names because, again, you are an SEC job. You do have money to spend. You will be attracted to somebody just based on that alone. So I think you go after James Franklin. Like I mentioned earlier, you need somebody who can kind of be the unifying force in a room full of people who all have power and want their opinions to feel like they matter. And I think James Franklin was able to do that at Penn State and kind of pull everybody into his boat and have them go in the same way. So he's shown an ability to do that. Whether James Franklin looks at the Auburn job, that's one that's attractive to him, I don't know. I mean, think of all the names we've mentioned for Florida. Think of all the names we've mentioned for LSU. They all make plenty of sense for Auburn. It's just I don't know who the realistic options are. Like, do they go after Jimbo? Like, is that if you went after Jimbo, doesn't that kind of feel like the same thing as hiring Hugh Freeze again? Somebody whose offense is a little outdated?
There's a term that gets used a lot, and I worry that it's overused. It's when someone says you're an unserious football program, or like this is a sign of whether or not you're going to be a serious football program. We usually talk about it during coaching hires. I'm going to reserve my judgment, but hiring Jimbo Fisher would bring about the allegations that this is not serious. I went back to look at it. They didn't exactly back up the Brinks truck for Hugh.
No.
6.7 mil a year in the SEC. Like, that was paying fair market value for an open box special.
But let's be blunt. Maybe they don't have more to spend because they've had to pay all these buyouts because they keep firing coaches. Might not have, and so that's the other thing too. Like, I think Auburn's going to have plenty of money on offer for a coach. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know how deep the pool they're swimming in at this point truly is.
Would Eli Drinkwitz take Auburn over his current position?
I don't think Auburn's more attractive to him than Mizzou.
Especially not uprooting what you've got going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree.
I feel like you are having more success at Missouri than Auburn has had in most of the last 10 years.
He doesn't need to restart the clock.
No.
What about sitting power conference coaches? What would you think about Brent Key?
I mean, it's not that far away from where he's working now, so maybe it's not as huge. If you're Brent Key, and it really depends. Like, I don't know Brent Key. I can't tell you what makes him tick. If his ideal job is to be at the place he went to school and win as many games as possible for his alma mater, no, he's not leaving for Auburn. If his goal is to climb the ladder and get to a place where he feels like he can compete for playoff spots, compete for SEC jobs, and compete for possible national titles, then Auburn's a better option for him than Georgia Tech. But if you're Brent Key, is Auburn the best school coming after you?
I'm just saying, and I think there's going to be a lot of response that points to leaving his alma mater. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just thinking that the man who grew up in a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama, and who spent some time on Nick Saban's staff might look at that Auburn job and be like, hey,
yeah,
I can go do this. Like you mentioned, not far from where he's at right now. He certainly knows all those high schools, different type of recruit that you're getting to Auburn, different kids, maybe you go and see them not on the 4 p.m. kickoff that night. Maybe it's the 7 p.m. kickoff when you're going for Auburn. But Brent Key is a sitting power conference coach that I think if I am Auburn, I would pick up the phone and I would call and I'd check in on. You mentioned James Franklin. That'll be an interesting one to see if he ends up landing at Auburn. That would be of all these spots. I'm feeling less and less like LSU is going to hire James Franklin. Would you agree with that?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've got a little bit of a different idea of where his landing spot might be in terms of the open jobs along the way. What about at the G5 level? Would Dillingham go to Auburn?
He might. I mean, it's the same situation as Key. It depends what his goal is. He's at his alma mater. Does he want to leave? But I do think, I think Kenny would be a great hire if Auburn ended up getting him, because I think that Kenny has shown, like going back to yesterday, like they didn't have Levitt. They're on the road against Iowa State, and they've got Jeff Sims, who, longtime player, no disrespect to him. We kind of know who he is. He's not anything incredible. He's able to win at Iowa State, and he's been able to overcome these injuries to keep Arizona State looking pretty good. So I feel like that would probably be a good hire for Auburn. I don't know if he's going to do it. I think, I know there are a lot of big jobs available, and people are saying, there's not enough great candidates to fill those jobs. And we've talked about it. There are plenty of great candidates to fill these jobs. It's just, I don't think we are going to see these giant dominoes falling that everybody is pitching. We've already seen a lot of the big names already sign contract extensions. In this era of the NIL and the portal, the difference between these jobs is not nearly as drastic as it used to be. Auburn and Missouri are pretty much the same. Now go back 15 years and say that and look at the kind of looks you would get. So I think that Auburn, in all realistic, and I think LSU and I think Florida are in very much the same boat. And I think Penn State's in very much the same boat, where you're probably, if you want a sitting head coach with head coaching experience, you're probably going to have to go to the G5 route. I don't know how many P4 sitting coaches are going to look at you as obvious moves. So I think the name that if I'm Auburn that I'm going after is one of the same names I said that LSU should give very strong consideration for, and that's John Sumrall at Tulane. Sumrall coached at Troy. He knows the state. He's been winning every single place he's gone. I think that he will be interested if SEC jobs come available and start interviewing him and asking him if he wants it. I think he'd very, very, very much consider saying yes. So if I'm Auburn, I know that you can't say he's at the top of your list, but I think if I'm putting together a real list of coaches I think I have a real shot of getting, he's number one on my list.
He will be in demand to be a candidate for these SEC jobs.
Yes.
If you want John Sumrall, you're not going to be the only one. Hey, guess what? I know we're doing this on a Sunday, so maybe you, like me, do have some part of your brain that's dedicated to fantasy football. Don't think you're going to get him on the turn, all right? Don't worry. He's going to come back. He's going to fall to me in the 6th round. No, if you want John Sumrall, then this is going to be the time to make a move, because he is going to be a candidate for any of these jobs. And I think he's going to be a very, very very, very good head coaching candidate for an SEC job, given what he's done so far. And given what I think is like you're hinting at this, I'll go ahead and walk through that door. The qualified candidates that we think are qualified candidates often are not. Mm-hmm. And much more often, something that we gave it a C+ and shrugged our shoulders at ends up being fantastic. Who said that Curt Cignetti was going to change college football when he was hired by Indiana? Everybody said, oh yeah, the JMU coach, good hire there, and then look what's happened. I'm not saying everyone is going to be Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti truly is a one of one. Like, that guy is a force of personality, unlike many. But I do think the idea that the sensible hire, and given his success at Tulane, given his success at Troy, John Sumrall is a sensible hire for the Auburn Tigers right here. That's I would pick up the phone and call. Absolutely.
I've also seen it mentioned in the chat.
Chesney?
No. Glenn Schumann.
Georgia defensive coordinator.
Makes plenty of sense for this gig as well. Now, again, if you're an Auburn fan, does that make you super excited? I don't know, but I think Schumann makes sense. I think Alex Galesh makes sense. Again, it's all the names we've gone over a million times. Chesney does make sense. There's a lot of good coaching candidates out there. They're just not the superstar names that everybody's thinking because of the star level of the programs that are open.
Is there any chance DJ Durkin gets this job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he beats Alabama in the Iron Bowl,
I was going to say, this guy's going to win the 10-year
deal. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a part of me that absolutely adores it, that it is that important to Auburn, because one of the things that makes this sport great has always been the rivalries, and just like the way it, the way it affects people's lives, how important it is to the fans to win these games. But I do feel like if I'm a fan, that's really important. If I'm the person in charge of getting this program to a good spot so those same fans don't turn on me and want me fired, I don't know if I put as much weight on one game against Alabama or the fact that coach has beaten Alabama before. I think that you have to kind of go outside the box a little bit to find a coach who you think is capable of beating Alabama and everybody else on your schedule.
But those Alabama wins are sweet, Tom.
They are. I know they are.
So those magical days in Jordan-Hare.
Because they give you the entire year to talk all the crap you need. And believe me, I understand the importance of that. Like, when the Bears beat the Packers, the Bears could be 3-13, but if they beat the Packers in week 18, the final week of the season, and the Packers don't win the Super Bowl, I get to talk crap to the Packers all off season. Like, yeah, but you haven't beaten the Bears in months.
What about who else on the, because I think separating what I would recommend Auburn do versus outcomes that I think are potentials. DJ Durkin's slid over to the would not be on my recommendation list, but I very much realized we could be there. Mm-hmm. Who else is in that category?
Jimbo. I already mentioned that. Who's somebody I think that, I mean, just don't do the retread thing. That's really my only. If a coach has failed before, I mean, that's no guarantee that they're going to fail again. A lot of coaches get better in their second steps, but I feel like the ceiling is higher when you hire a coach who has not been canned somewhere else.
Would Dabo be a retread?
I think Dabo could change the culture at Auburn. I don't know if Dabo would win at Auburn because Dabo's approach is proving to be very, very detrimental to Clemson right now. So if he's bringing that same approach to Auburn, a program that literally just was firing an NIL candidate at the transfer portal, and Dabo's going to come in there and be like, well, we're just going to recruit our OKGs, our good boys, and we're going to develop them up, and we're just going to build a family here. Like, he's gone in 2 years because he's not going to win enough games in the first few seasons before everybody turns on him. And then the fact he's from Alabama, by the way, is going to put him in a hole to begin with. So he's going to have to overcome the whole tidiness to him. So, yeah, no, I do not think Dabo makes any sense at Auburn.
Okay.
What about Dion? Certainly feels done at Colorado.
I do want to. I know I probably should have said this earlier. It would have been more sensitive, but 29 minutes in is not exactly me delivering on it. But I do hope Hugh gets healthy and plays golf and just take some time to get things right, because that man looked miserable.
Yes.
And we know that earlier in the year he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but they said that it was, early detection. They felt like he was going to be able to make a full recovery. But still, man, just I hope he gets healthy. I hope he enjoys himself, because that looks like a very, very miserable experience. Again, one that came with a $6.7 million salary and now $15.4 million in buyout money, but still not look fun. Sort of walk a mile in a man's shoes. That's not a fun walk.
He needs to stop walking a mile. He needs to start riding in a golf cart for 3 to 4 miles.
Yeah.
Maybe walk a couple 100 yards on cart path only days. But other than that, nah, man, just golf, feel better, relieve some stress, and then figure it out.
Yeah. Jeff Brom.
Yeah. Good choice if they can get him to leave
Jeff
Louisville.
Brom is, I don't know where that is on the Venn diagram. It's on the Chip would recommend. My apologies to my Louisville friends out there, but I just think Jeff Brom's a really good coach. And you know what? I don't think Jeff Brom would leave. I don't think. But that stock price is pretty high right now. If he gets to the ACC title game, just consider that. That means that in 3 of the last 4 years as a head coach, he would have led his team to a conference championship game.
I do wonder, because again, like, Brom is having success at Louisville, where you just mentioned they could be in the ACC championship game. He's got that program in a place where every single year you look at it as a team that could win the ACC, as a team that could get to the college football playoff. Does he feel like he has a better chance to get there at his alma mater than he would at Auburn? He might.
No, I mean, but the ACC is run by SMU and Louisville right now. You want some sign of the times in college football? They've got Florida State and Clemson on the ACC network. Tom, they sued to get television ratings built into the media rights payout.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about another network or their business. I'm just giving you facts as I understand them. I don't know if they report Nielsen ratings.
No.
I don't know if the ACC end games help you with the bonuses.
Jim Phillips is out here playing chess.
FSU Clemson kicked over. Oh my goodness. I thought they were the time slot champs. But yeah, SMU and Louisville are running the ACC now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like old school CUSA. What?
I just hadn't really thought about the fact that their games are getting put on ACC Network and the Nielsen ratings aspect of it, where like Jim Phillips is like, well, what do you want me to do?
That's what do you want me to do? I'm sorry. I can't pay you anymore.
You're not going to get as much as Duke. I'm sorry. They had better ratings.
Georgia Tech, come on down. Hey, NC State got a big payout.
Yeah.
NC State cashing in with the top 10 upset and a good, nice little number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's do our top 3.
Our top 3 candidates.
Top 3 candidates.
John Summerall's 1.
Yep.
Glenn Schumann's 2. And then my 3rd. I'm doing this based off who I think they can get, by the way.
Right.
You know what? We didn't even mention him. Fran Brown. You want a recruiter? Want somebody who has SEC experience recruiting? Want somebody who's been in those trenches, knows what it takes? Fran Brown.
John Summerall, Glenn Schumann, Brent Key. 2 of the coaches that I would have loved at the University of North Carolina before the last hire. That's how it goes. Anything else we would want to put together?
No.
Fran Brown at Auburn. I hadn't thought about that one.
It just kind of hit me. Like I was trying to think of a name. It's like, I think that could work. He
is riding, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but he is riding the, like, I'm from New Jersey, and being able to connect a lot of Northeast dots. It helped. His coaching staff has a tap down into the Philly and like that part of Pennsylvania. So he's activating some of his superpowers, I guess you could say, but he also is at Georgia. So it's not like he is unfamiliar with recruiting the area.
No.
Yeah.
Charismatic people are charismatic people. Don't matter where in the country they are.
That's true. All right. We will be back Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time for a pun further review. So come and hang out at youtube.com/cover3. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you.